Wuthering Waves 2.0 will be coming out with 5 new echo sets, all with very unique effects compared to the pre-existing sets, covering a wide variety of bases, from defensive sets to sub-DPS sets to main DPS sets. We have quite a wide variety of new things to talk about, and that's not even mentioning the new Nightmare forecasts, which I will cover in a separate video. So before I waste any more time, let's get into it. I'll be talking about these sets in the order of what I think will be the least relevant of above to the most relevant, starting with what I think will be the worst set, the Night Veil set. This is going to be Roccia's dedicated set, and oh man do they want to hammer that home. Pretty much all of its benefits are incredibly niche, making it a very hard set to justify farming. Its 2-piece effect will grant the user 10% Havoc damage bonus, which means we are already off to a bad start. Making it just Havoc damage bonus makes it automatically less valuable on non-Havoc characters. But don't you worry, the 5-piece only makes it worse. The 5-piece will make it so whenever the wielder casts an outro skill, it will deal an additional hit of Havoc damage, as well as giving the next character 15% Havoc damage bonus. This is terribly niche, something you really don't want when you're looking at a set for a sub-DPS. This is because its competition, Moonlit Clouds, is a powerhouse. Not only does the Havoc damage bonus from Night Veil get matched by the attack percent bonus from Moonlit Clouds, it also has additional buffs thanks to Impermanence Heron. This means that for a hypercarry like Camellia, Moonlit Clouds will be very competitive with Night Veil. Now, I am quite a forgiving person when it comes to niche sets. I'm willing to defend a niche set if the character that is used on is good. But Roccia is less than stellar, which you would already know if you watched my video on her. She was designed to be used with one character in mind, and somehow fails at that job. Sanhua is a better sub-DPS for Camellia due to the fact that their buffing is near identical, with Sanhua just having way less field time than Roccia. Roccia does deal more damage than Sanhua, but it doesn't make up for the field time she takes. So not only is this set niche, the character it's best in slot in isn't even that good, which makes me say it's currently the worst of the new sets. Next up is the Courage Without Fear set. This set is focused on a mechanic that the game has just completely ignored, and I would not be surprised if you didn't even remember its existence. Shields. Now there is a reason that I put this as more important as the Night Veil set. Its 2-piece effect is going to grant you 10% HP. Doesn't seem too good so far, and I wouldn't blame you for thinking that, but the 5-piece is where things become a little more interesting. When you have a shield, your max HP is increased by 20. And whenever your HP decreases, the current active character will gain 5% crit rate for 15 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. You can probably tell why this is low value, as no one can really capitalize on this set currently. But the reason I value it above Night Veil is because there is a very high chance that Brant will be capable of using this set, and crit rate is a much more universal stat to buff than Havoc damage. 15% crit rate is not only better than 15% damage bonus buff-wise, it's also not locked to just Havoc characters, making it a better set in general. Of course, this does entirely depend on Brant's kit, but it would be pretty dumb to release this set and then no one use it. Brant is rumored to be a fusion support, and the forecast of the shield set does fusion damage and can buff fusion and basic attacks, making it highly likely this was meant for Brant. I still don't recommend farming this set until we have actual information on Brant, however. The next set I want to talk about is the Eternal Light set. This set, much like the shield set, is clearly designed around one specific character that will be coming in the future, that being Phoebe. This new set will be focused on spectro damage and utilizing the new light noise mechanic being introduced in 2.0. Its 2-piece will grant 10% spectro damage bonus, with its 5-piece giving 20% crit rate when applying light noise to enemies. It will also grant an additional 15% spectro damage bonus when attacking an enemy with 10 light noise stacks. Light noise is essentially a spectro DOT mechanic, much like what the enemies can apply to us. Now, the reason I put it above the shield set is because unlike Brant's mechanics, we already have some evidence of Phoebe's mechanics existing in 2.0. This is thanks to the fact that it will be retroactively added to the kit of the Spectral Rover, giving us a small idea of what this mechanic has in store. Spectral Rover will be easily able to apply 10 stacks of light noise with 2 forte skills and 1 ultimate, even having the ability to stop the decay of this DOT. Another reason I put this set above the shield set is thanks to the fact that this mechanic has a lot more potential to be expanded upon outside of Phoebe. Do I think they will? I doubt it, but it's a possibility. For Brant's set, you'd need an HP scaling shielder who can also drain their own HP. but for the Eternal Light set, all you need is a character who can apply light noise at a good frequency. But is it good on anyone outside of Phoebe? Well, not really. The buffs are entirely built around a Spectro DOT, essentially locking it to only Spectro characters. Spectro Rover doesn't do enough damage to justify using this over Moonlit Clouds, and other Spectro characters can't even apply light noise, so this will remain a what-if set when we get Phoebe. Second to last, the Decisive Heart set. This is going to be Carlotta's designated set. This means that much like Night Veil, there's good evidence of this set being useful in the future, mainly with Carlotta, but unlike Night Veil, the competition against Decisive Heart is quite poor. The 2-piece effect will grant 12% skill damage bonus, with its 5-piece granting you 30% Glaceon skill damage bonus for 6 seconds after casting Resonant Liberation. This is a lot of damage bonus, especially for a character who does mainly Glaceon skill damage, and especially since the character in question is capable of casting her Liberation 2 times per rotation. Technically at least. Freezing Frost just can't even compare, especially since her optimal rotations, you should not even be casting that many basic or heavy attacks, making it stacking slower. It doesn't even give as much damage bonus. Decisive Heart is very clearly Carlotta's best in slot, but can it even be used on anyone else? Well, technically it can, I just don't recommend it. Jinxi and Changli are both primarily skill damage characters, but the Fusion and Spectra sets are just so well tailored towards their kit. Jinxi has to use her intro skill either way, giving her 100% uptime on the Spectro set's effect. Changli has the same thing but with her resonant skill. The Decisive Heart set would give slightly less damage percent but also just has way worse uptime. So this set does classify as a niche set. But like I said earlier, I can look past that if the character it's made for is good. And yeah, Carlotta looks very good right now, so this set gets a pass. And then finally there's the High Heaven set. This is the coordinated attack set, and man, there are a lot of coordinated attack characters. But before I get ahead of myself, let me tell you what this set does. Its 2-piece gives 10% energy regen, much like the Moonlit Cloud set. Its 5-piece is where we get some action though. The wielder's coordinated attack's damage is increased by 80%, and when a coordinated attack deals a crit hit, the entire team gains a 20% attack buff. This is a really strong effect, being essentially a slightly smaller but team-wide Moonlit Clouds that also buffs the wielder's damage, which is really good. Especially because many of the game's most popular sub-DPS characters like Mortefi and Jeji do primarily coordinated attack damage. Would I say this is a better set than Moonlit in a general sense? I don't think it is. This is primarily due to 2 factors. First of all, High Heavens requires coordinated attacks to trigger, making it harder to take advantage of. It also doesn't have a forecast that can buff the next character like Impermanence, Heron, or the Bell. This means that when you compare High Heaven against Moonlit Clouds, even on a character that deals high damage for a sub-DPS, Moonlit Clouds will not be far behind for team damage. But in my opinion, if you don't have a Moonlit Cloud set yet, it's not a bad idea to farm High Heaven for them instead. The characters it will be strongest on are those that deal formidable damage through coordinated attacks. It will also work on characters like Yuanwu of Arena, but they would prefer Rejuvenating Glow due to its supportive forecasts. So the characters that High Heaven would be best on are Yinlin, Jeje, and Mortefi. Personally, I think the main sets to aim for would be the Coordinated Attack, and if you want to get Carlotta or Phoebe, farm their respective sets too. If you insist on pulling Roccia, Night Veil is a fair upgrade over Moonlit Clouds too. I would, however, not actively chase this set. Get it over time. As for the Shield set, I would hold off on it until we get some information on Brand. Hopefully I helped you out with some of this information. If so, be sure to like the video and subscribe. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in my comments. But if you want to be sure I read it, send a message on either Twitter or my Discord, both of which are linked in the description. But that'll be it from me. Peace!